Hey guys, this is Liz Canada from Sleeklens. Today I have a tutorial from the HDR Out of the Shadows workflow, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to use the HDR presets and the brushes that come in this workflow to enhance your landscape photography. So if you don't know what HDR stands for, it stands for High Dynamic Range, and it's just the difference between lights and darks in your photograph. So we're going to go ahead with this one, and as you can see on the left here, the Out of the Shadows workflow comes with quite a few different HDR presets, which are all kind of meant to enhance the details of your photographs and give them kind of a crisp and clean look. So for this one, I'm going to be starting with the HDR Good Base. So already that's added quite a bit of light and clarity to the photograph. Now I'm going to be going up to my exposure presets that come with this workflow because I do want to brighten it a little bit more, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the brighten. But that's slightly too bright for me, so even though these are one-click edits, you can go and adjust them. So I am going to adjust the exposure just a little bit on this preset. Alright, so I'm going to move into my brushes now. So opening my brushes and going down to the Out of the Shadows brushes. First I'm going to be using a Brighten Water brush. I'm going to make my brush slightly bigger. You can either scroll down here and change the size of your brush, or you can use the bracket keys on your computer. And I'm going to be using this to enhance the detail in the water here. So as you can see, it's kind of enhanced the contrast and the clarity and the detail of the water here. I'm going to go ahead and hit New. I'm going to be using another definition brush. This time I'm going to be using the HDR Subtle HDR Clarity. And I'm going to be using that up here in the sky. And I'm going to hit New. Now I'm going to be going down to the Hdr Sky Brush, and I'm going to use the Subtle Definition. So this one is specifically meant for sky, where the other one isn't specifically meant for sky, but it does add more clarity and changes up that high dynamic range. I'm going to adjust this brush a little bit and bring the shadows up so it's not as dark. I'm going to hit New one more time. Now I'm going to be using the Brighten Shadows brush. And I'm just going to make my brush smaller, and I'm just using that right on this little island here just to bring some light to it and add a little bit of definition. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close my brushes out. I'm going to go to my colors tab right here, and I'm going to just turn the blue up a tad, and then I'm going to go to my basics tab, and I'm going to turn my saturation up just so I can have a little bit more color in this photograph. Alright, so here's the before and after. So as you can see, we now have on the right the HDR image that has a lot more contrast, light, color, and overall it's just crisper, cleaner, and it has a better look. So here's the before and the after. So as you can see, this workflow can really make a huge difference with your landscape photography. So I'm going to move to another photograph now. I'm going to go back into those HDR presets, and for this one I'm going to be starting with the Hdr Cinematic, which has improved the shadows here and opened a lot of detail up and really kind of brightened the photograph and given it a little bit of a warmer tone. The tone is slightly too warm for me, so I'm going to go to the Tone Tint presets and I'm going to choose Cool It Down, which is going to kind of give it a more neutral tone. Now I'm going to be moving into my brushes. I'm again going to use a definition brush, so I'm going to be using the water definition, and I'm just going to be using that all in here because what I really want are those crisp, clean details that come with the HDR. Alright, so once I've applied that, I'm going to hit New. Now I'm going to be going into my brushes again, and I'm going to be using the Subtle HDR Clarity, and I'm going to use this brush all on the cliffs here to add more clarity and kind of a crisper, cleaner look. Alright, I'm going to hit New. So this HDR workflow also comes with color brushes, and right now I'm going to be using the mustard one. I am going to adjust the color slightly, so I'm going to move it down a little bit so it's not as bright. And then I'm going to make my brush smaller, and I'm just going to kind of use this yellow to kind of put a little bit of yellow back into the grass here, just to add a little bit more detail and color. Right, so I'm going to close out my brushes. Alright, so here they are side by side, the before and the after. So as you can see, we've got a lot of a crisper detail in the cliffs here and in the water as well, and we've just improved the light and enhanced the color as well. So if you do a lot of landscape photography, the Out of the Shadows HDR workflow is really great for this. As you can see, it really improves the photograph. So I hope you guys enjoyed this short tutorial and you'll be able to try it out for yourself.